Before I start this video, I want to talk real quick about the sponsor of the video, Goat Guns. They make these model military rifles that are extremely accurate. They're real cool and I'm glad I found the company and was able to get one. The one I got here is an AK-47 and it looks beautiful. And many of the parts are actually functional. The magazine will pop out. It comes with little rounds that you can load into it. The bolt will slide back and it's spring-loaded, just like the real weapon. The selector level or safety moves. The trigger does as well. The rear sight is adjustable. And you can even pop the dust cover on and off. And it's really sturdy and surprisingly heavy. A lot of the parts in here are metal. And they don't just make AKs. They have over a dozen different models, from M4s to AUGs and more. And setup is really easy. It took me about 10 minutes to put it together. However, if you do have any trouble, they have several videos walking you through it on their website. Now these are models. They're not real guns and they cannot be modified to fire. They are perfect to place on your desk, dresser, or bookshelf. So I recommend checking out their website. They're pretty reasonably priced, and honestly, I'm happy with the one I got here. I have a whole collection of model aircraft, missile systems, tanks, and this goes perfectly with them, and greatly surpasses them in level of detail and quality. So check them out. It's a real easy name to remember, goatguns.com.
I am announcing today that the United States will withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal.
I have been working on this video for the last 2 weeks. However, events have been happening so quickly that I've had to rewrite the script over and over again. Now, this video isn't going to be whether it was right or wrong to end the Iran deal, or if the Israeli or Iranian views are morally correct. That is something, as covert cabal, I am not concerned with. What I am interested in is the resulting military implications. If you don't know, the Iran deal, officially known as the JCPOA, was an agreement between Iran and the US, UK, Russia, France, China, and the EU as a whole that limited Iran's ability to build nuclear weapons in exchange for removal of sanctions on the country. The agreement limits items such as number of centrifuges and enriched uranium, among others, for the next 10 to 15 years. Since the deal, with the removal of the sanctions, Iran has increased its defense budget by nearly 40%, from around $10 billion in 2015 to over $14 billion for 2018. In this time period, and with the huge increase in defense spending, Iran has began to establish itself as a major regional power, increasing their presence in Syria, helping aid the Syrian government, and reportedly in Yemen, where Houthi rebel missiles fired at Saudi Arabia have been found to contain Iranian-made parts. This has resulted in what can be considered a mini Cold War between the two powers in the region, Iran and Saudi Arabia, but that can be a topic for a video on its own. The real interesting dynamic in recent months has been between Iran and Israel. It's no secret that relations between the two countries are bad. The Israeli government, led by Benjamin Netanyahu, have been against the Iran deal since day one, calling the agreement a mistake of historic proportions in 2015. Shortly before US President Donald Trump was to make a decision on the Iran deal, Netanyahu went on Israeli television releasing data that they were able to extract from Iran, which he said proves Iran violated the deal. The information released was old, showing an Iranian project to build nuclear weapons called Project Ahmad, which ended in 2003. Without getting into too much detail, Israel claims that the fact that Iran did not disclose this project to the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, violated the deal, as part of the JCPOA required them to disclose a full report of its nuclear history. However, the IAEA already knew of this project at the time of the signing of the JCPOA, and had gone into great detail of Project Ahmad at the time. The presentation by Netanyahu was seen as a push to further convince the US to leave the agreement. Then, a week later on May 8th, Trump announced the withdrawal. Israel's main concern in the region has been Iran's growing influence and presence in Syria, and their funding and weapons transfers to Hezbollah. The day after the US withdrew from the JCPOA, Israel launched airstrikes on what they said were Iranian positions in Syria. Several days later, they carried out a much larger strike in Syria, after they reported Hezbollah rockets fired at Israel. While Israeli airstrikes on targets in Syria have been going on for years, the most recent strikes were one of the largest ever carried out. Since that strike, Iran has really not responded in any major way, but tensions between the two are not expected to decrease anytime soon. Talks of a full-scale war between the two has become a topic in the media recently, but I do not see this happening, at least not in the near future. However, with events unfolding so quickly, it will undoubtedly be an interesting story to follow, and I am sure in a few weeks from now, I will be wishing I waited and rewrote this video once again.